Well, Americans and the world were first introduced en masse to Linda Sarsour when there was a giant Soros-funded women's march to counter-protest the inauguration of Donald Trump. While a lot of women were wearing the so-called pussy hats, Linda Sarsour was wearing a Muslim hijab. Well, that was the launch of her career as a left-wing activist on the Democratic circuit. But now she's been invited to give the commencement address at the City University of New York, a storied institution with a long history and more than one or two Jews as well. What does Linda Sarsour stand for? Does she support anti-Jewish and anti-Western terrorism? Is she an appropriate speaker at a university? Joining me now to talk about these things is our friend Pamela Geller, who has a very strong view about this and in fact is organizing a counter-protest to Linda Sarsour. Great to see you again, Pamela.
Thank you so much for having me, Ezra, and handling this outrageous invitation to a notorious hate monger and anti-Semite. Linda Sarsour has earned a reputation as one of the country's most virulent anti-Israel activists. She has attacked Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, called him a waste of a human being, called him a bigot, and routinely condemns the Jewish state as racist and an apartheid state. She has attracted outrage when she tweeted out a picture of a Palestinian child with a rock in his hand to stone Jews, accompanied by the caption, "The definition of courage." Linda Sarsour was outraged when police shot and killed a devout Muslim who was on his way from Boston to New York to behead me. When they went to question him, he lunged at police and they killed him. And she said it was all about the Black Lives Matter movement. And at the end of the day, a black man was shot and killed at a bus stop on his way to work. On his way to work. What was his work? Beheading Pamela Geller. Yeah. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah. Yes, to your point, she was the darling of the left as the organizer and participant in the Women's March against Donald Trump. This is so absurd on its face. She supports the Sharia, which is gender apartheid, female genital mutilation. I don't think those were pussy hats. I think those were FGM hats. Yeah. She says nothing about the honor violence and the honor killing in the Palestinian territories. I mean, she's a hypocrite, but embraced and beloved by the left, as evidenced by this invitation by the City University of New York, mind you, a taxpayer-funded university. She stands on the platform and has partnered with Rasmia Odeh, an anti-Israel terrorist who was convicted of killing Jews and convicted recently of immigration fraud in the United States for failing to disclose her ties to terrorism, which is very much like Linda Sarsour.
We've got a couple of more tweets. We showed the one about Netanyahu. Let's show another one. Here's one where she defends Saudi Arabia's treatment of women. 10 weeks of paid maternity leave in Saudi Arabia. Yes, paid. And you're worried about women driving. Puts us to shame. She's actually defending Saudi Arabia. Here's another one. Nothing is creepier than Zionism. Challenge racism. Normalize justice. Check out this video. Creepier. It's so. I wonder if the people who invited. I think we have one more tweet. She's talking about America itself. America is and remains a nation built on Judeo-Christian values. And Linda Sarsour replies, genocide and slavery? It's incredible that such an America-hating, Jew-baiting extremist is the darling of the left. I mean, surely the hijab itself is a manifestation of oppression of women, but Democrats don't seem to care, do they?
Oh, no, because this is their agenda. Now, mind you, this is not a freedom of speech issue. Linda Sarsour is free to speak on college campuses and does frequently. So that's a straw man's argument. That's bogus. An invitation by the City University of New York to keynote their commencement address is norming evil. It is the sanction of bigotry, hatred, and anti-Semitism. She said that Jews cannot be feminists because, Jews oppress Palestinian women, which is absurd. We treat them You know, we help them give birth. She has nothing to say about the genuine oppression of Muslim women who suffer under the Sharia, which sanctions wife beating, which allows for polygamy and female genital mutilation and honor killing. But she's the new leader of the feminist movement. I think that speaks volumes. I think that unmasks the left. She's also the leader of the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement, an economic boycott of the Jewish state, which, by the way, is Nazi-esque in its origins. It's exactly like the German boycott of the Jews, pre-Kristallnacht. The German boycott of the Jews is the antecedent to the BDS movement, and she is the leader. And you're going to tell me, Ezra, that CUNY couldn't find anyone better to keynote? You saw Brandeis disinvite Ayaan Hirsi Ali. I have been disinvited. Noni Darwish, who will be speaking at my rally. Milo will be speaking at our rally. John Guandolo will be speaking at our rally. Carolyn Glick will be issuing a statement. She's in Israel. We have a host of powerful voices, Lori Regan of Emet. It's on May 25th. It's at noon in front of the CUNY offices on East 42nd Street. It's at lunchtime. I know you're in Canada, but I also know there's a train, Toronto to New York. I know that because 2 devout Muslims tried to blow it up, if you recall. Well, they didn't, so you can get on the train. Get on the train and stand up against this. You must stand up against the norming of evil. This is how, evil prospers. Yeah. If you even look at back at pre-Nazi Germany, Hitler's party, before it was the National Socialist Workers' Party, it was the National Socialist Party. They were a rabble, violent, sort of think German white trash. They were never taken seriously. But in 1929, in the German referendum of 1929, a coalition of mainstream parties invited Hitler to join them. This, for me, in reading the history, German history, and the lead-up Weimar Republic to the worst atrocity of the 20th century, this, to me, this norming of evil, the inviting of Hitler's party into the mainstream, was the beginning of the end. And that's what we're seeing here. An invitation to keynote Linda Sarsour is the harbinger of terrible things to come.
Well, Pamela, what I don't understand is you're in New York, which is the most Jewish city in the world outside of Israel itself. City University of New York, a lot of Jewish roots. You mentioned Brandeis University, which is an extremely Jewish campus. It's probably 50% Jewish students. They disinvited Ayaan Hirsi Ali. City University, I think of Columbia University, very Jewish in its past. They invited Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the former president of Iran when he was the president, who, by the way, at that speech said, oh, there are no gays in Iran. There can't be homophobia because there are no gays. So what is wrong with your liberal city? You're in a liberal city. It votes 90% Democrat. You're in a Jewish city. And yet City University of New York, Columbia University, and Brandeis, which is in Boston, have become hotbeds of anti-Semitism, anti-Israelism, and anti-Americanism. How can you explain your city?
How can you explain when over 25% of your student body is Jewish? And worse is that they made the commencement speech on June 1st, which is Shavuot. So that's why I had to change the date of my protest, because so many Jews wanted to come and protest and they couldn't. I mean, would they ever make it on Eid, or would they ever make it on Ramadan? Such sanction is so malignant, Ezra, and so evil. We have a responsibility for the time that we're living in. We have to do something about this. You see this. It happens to you. My colleagues and I, we're demonized, we're marginalized, we're defamed by the enemy media, by the cultural elites, while these terrorists, and by the way, members of our family are in jail for slaughter in the cause of Allah. These terrorists and their promoters enjoy the advancement and promotion by these quislings. And anyone who thinks that academia is not aligned with the jihad, is not aligned with the jihad forces, is sadly deluded. We have to stop taxpayer funding these hotbeds of radical inculcation.
Incredible. Well, we're big fans of yours, Pamela. You're one of the great fighters for freedom and Western civilization. You led the charge against the 9/11 Victory Mosque that was planned for just a block away, actually within the blast zone of 9/11. So you fought against these things before. I wouldn't bet against you, that's for sure. Let's show on the screen one more time for those of our viewers who might be inclined to go down to New York to participate in the counter-protest. It's May 25th. That's a Thursday at 12 noon, 217 East 42nd Street, New York. Pamela, it's great to see you again. Keep fighting for freedom, my friend.
Ezra, thank you so much for having me. Go to Facebook, search Linda Sarsour Protest, go in there, post, tell your friends, we need to stand against this. It's time to take a stand, and this is where it's at.
Hey, if you like that, sign up for my show every day. Click on the screen to subscribe.